Dr. Raymond Omolo, Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, members of the National Steering Committee on Peacebuilding and Conflict Management, members of the Independent Panel of Advisors, representatives of Sweden, Norway, and the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office, and the United Nations Development Program, Archbishop Olesapit, other stakeholders and partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to join you during this significant event for the launch of the Peacebuilding Architecture Review Report. On behalf of the government, I wish to thank the Independent Panel of Advisors, chaired by General Opande, the United Nations and embassies of Norway, Sweden, and other partners who have worked tirelessly to conduct this review and prepare the report. The findings and recommendations from the review process resonate with the challenges we face in sustaining and deepening peace in Kenya. Let us acknowledge this team of patriotic Kenyans who are committed to ensuring our country and our people enjoy peace and stability. Deepening and sustaining peace is a top priority of our government. Peace is an important precondition for us to achieve socio-economic transformation anchored on the bottom-up transformation agenda priorities and the Kenya Vision 2030. The moment is here for us, individually and collectively, to articulate a new national agenda for peace, to enhance shared prosperity among all communities across the country. And while we face these complex challenges from time to time, such deep self-reflections are important for ensuring we remain resilient as we build a more prosperous country. The recommendations of this report provide an opportunity for us to engage constructively on the issues that our young people have raised in recent months. It offers a new opportunity for us to strengthen our peace-building institutional arrangements. Implementation of the recommendations of this report will be a great first step in demonstrating that the government is listening and responding to the voices of the people. I have therefore requested PS Omolo to spearhead the implementation process, including constituting a broad-based team that will ensure no one is left behind in this great initiative. This process will demonstrate our resolve to deal with the escalating digital threats to our peace, which are manifested in information manipulation, online toxic content, fake news, and incitement. This should be prioritized in the implementation process. I'm well aware that peace-building work requires enhanced funding from the government and partners in this ecosystem. Let me reaffirm the government's commitment to enhance funding for this initiative, even as we appreciate the resource constraints that we face. Let me conclude by acknowledging all our partners, and I will repeat, including the United Nations, Sweden, and Norway. Your technical and financial support, including helping us to set up a peace-building fund, will strengthen our journey towards a more peaceful country. I also wish to appreciate all the stakeholders that you represent during this forum. Your perspectives will enable us to achieve strong consensus on how the recommendations of this review should be implemented. Ladies and gentlemen, before I formally launch the report, let me just highlight one or two things. First, let me echo the remarks made by the Archbishop that we should never take peace for granted. It is a gift from God. I think that peace is eternal. It should never die. And even in a moment of conflict, we may say peace has retreated, but it has not died. Secondly, I would just want to flag what we are all experiencing in different parts of the world following the very prominent global conflicts. We know the Middle East is a melting pot. First, you see the Israel-Gaza issue. Now Syria has rolled in. Lebanon has rolled in. All these challenges have a very serious impact across the globe. There is the Ukraine-Russian conflict, which keeps on threatening to escalate into a very serious confrontation. There are those areas like Afghanistan, as mentioned by the ambassador here. Then we have the African conflicts, which, because communication is not effective, it's not as robust in those other parts, tend to be forgotten. In Sudan, it's indicated that maybe up to 61,000 people have died. Massive displacement. It remains the largest humanitarian crisis globally at this point in time, but it receives very minuscule attention in the media. In Africa, it is estimated that conflicts have forced 100 million children out of school. 100 million. That is 2 Kenyans, if we take an average of 50 million as our population today. So 2 Kenyans are out of school in Africa. What will be the outcome when they are not channeled through an academic process? We then have the serious impact, as highlighted very carefully, on matters of investment, the economy, food security, delivery of health. All these are very challenging times. Then we have the disruption around technology. And Your Excellencies, I don't know, but let me go a little bit old school. Lately, you'll find in diplomatic language, there is now again and again the repeated language, people-to-people contact. It's coming back again. People-to-people conversations. And sometimes just step back and ponder. If you are to have a conversation, how does it feel when your conversation is virtual? What is really your personal experience? Suppose you want to dialogue about peace, but you're doing it virtually. How tangible do you feel it's getting to you? So the virtual aspect of it, the technology, may bring in convenience. It may cut costs, but it can never replace the people-to-people contact. That is why it is important that we must engage and support each other so that we can truly harness the peace that is there. The fake news, I'll give you just one quick example, because it's real and it happens every other day, and we really have to be careful. The Inspector General of Police, I think it was earlier in this week, his deputy is here. They left Nairobi and went to Marsabit because on the social media there was this story that 10 miners had been buried in the mines in Marsabit. They left, they went there physically, and it turned out to be fake news. Nobody had died or been buried in the mines. But because somebody is being socially irresponsible, you take away the Inspector General and his team to a place on a wild goose chase, then you vacate them from an area that is needy. That is not responsible. And these are some of the challenges that we all have to acknowledge exist, and we have to deal with them. Different countries are dealing with them differently. The other day I had a conversation with a section of the media, and they were asking, is the government of Kenya surveilling its citizens? Are they trampling on their privacy? Are they interfering into the freedoms? And so I responded and I told them, please look at Article 31 of our Constitution. The whole aspect of privacy, including privacy about your communication, is enshrined in the Constitution. It is enshrined in the Constitution. And our courts, if somebody believes that there's an infringement, nowadays people don't hesitate to take anybody to court. Whether it is from the toppest position in the executive to any position, we all face courts nowadays. So if somebody is really aggrieved, there's an avenue to be able to tackle and address those issues. However, I also asked the person who was raising the question that let us also face it. If you land in Heathrow Airport, if you land in New York, cameras or not? If you landed in Dubai, do we have cameras or don't we? If you went to the airport in Stockholm or in Norway, there are cameras. There are cameras. It all depends on what you do with the information you have. They are there to help in fostering security. Prevention is better than cure. So we need to perhaps reflect on some of these things a little more broadly, so that we do not sometimes create a situation where there is no real issue. But our Constitution, which is very robust, safeguards the other aspects. But because today we are talking peace, let me just maybe conclude by drawing your attention to the famous statement by an Oriental sage, and it said, "The wise win the war before the fight, while the ignorant fight to win the war." let us be the wise. Let us dialogue. Let us talk so that we don't have to fight. That, to me, is a very, very critical message as we wind up the year. And I want to wish you all a very prosperous Christmas and a Happy New Year, the year 2025. So it is now my pleasure and honor to declare the Peacebuilding Architecture Review report officially launched. Let us move with speed to the implementation phase. God bless you all. Asante sana.
We want to proceed to official launching of the report. Kindly remain seated. Kindly remain seated. Kindly remain seated because of the live coverage. I'll ask a few people to join in. Kindly remain seated. The photographers on this side, kindly. Are you okay there? Kindly. Let us all count. Excuse, you're blocking the cameras. Kindly sit down. Kindly sit down. Everybody sit down.